Hey folks, before we get into things, I just wanted to say that this is actually a crossover episode between the Culture Cast, Wake Up Heavy, the Projection Booth, as well as the origin of this, which is the Chasing Chevy Chase podcast. We figured we'd give you a taste of what you're missing over at ChasingChevyPodcast.com, where once a month we look at the works of Chevy Chase from the late 70s onward. If you haven't heard it yet, come on over to ChasingChevyPodcast.com and enjoy.
It all started on a Tuesday in March. If George hadn't introduced me to Alice...
Let's not do anything cheap and meaningless.
Okay, what do I owe you?
And she hadn't been so spectacular, maybe I wouldn't have gotten so loaded that night.
10 minutes. I'll be as good as new.
And none of this would have happened.
Something's happened at the Magnascopics facility in Santa Mira.
Next thing I knew, I went from high profile to no profile.
What have they done to me? Wait a minute, who are you guys?
Keep your mouths shut, all of you. You're in a state of molecular flux. If you want to live, you're going to have to trust us.
Where have you been? Everybody's looking for you.
I'm here. Sort of.
I want my molecules back!
Now there's a price in my head.
The single most exotic intelligence asset on the planet is ours.
I don't sleep well. I can see through my eyelids. I can see through the top of my head.
But I'll never sell out.
Think of the adventure we could have together. Oh, yeah, we can go to Frontierland.
Don't be afraid. It's me, Nick. You want to sit down?
If not for Alice,
We're the only people that can give you your life back.
I'd be lost forever.
You have a face again.
You don't have any body makeup, do you? Dropped about 10 pounds. But I'd look great naked.
Alice, go away!
She saw me through it all.
I got him.
Nick, I love you!
Chevy Chase.
Morning.
Morning.
Daryl Hannah.
Boy, how am I going to tell my mom about this?
Just tell her you met a guy. Could be serious. He's transparent.
Memoirs of an Invisible Man. A John Carpenter film.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chasing Chevy Chase podcast. I am your host, Chris Dashew, and I am joined by my two good friends all the way from Wake Up Heavy, all the way invisible. He's got a makeup face on, your friend and mine, Mark Begley.
How's the spastic colon?
And all the way from the Projection Booth, not Projection Booth. It was directed by James Gunn, The Projection Booth. Your friend and mine, Mike White.
It's very important, that article in there. Yeah, kind of like The Predator.
Hey, I was watching an episode of Jeopardy where they asked about James Gunn movies that he directed, and they fucking didn't give it to him for Suicide Squad, and they were looking very confused.
I saw that.
What do you mean? Yes, I saw that one too.
Because they don't usually do that. They don't ding on articles on Jeopardy, I have learned. But those are two different movies, so...
Speaking of dinging on articles, on this episode of the Chasing Chevy Chase podcast, we're going to be talking about 1992's, what do we call this era of John Carpenter's career? We're going to be talking about it. We're talking about John Carpenter's directed, Chevy Chase starring, because apparently people thought this was a good idea, Memoirs of an Invisible Man. So the film came out in 1992. It is directed by John Carpenter. It was originally developed to be directed by Ivan Reitman, which might have made a little bit more sense, though I don't think it would have saved this movie. The film stars Chevy Chase as the titular Invisible Man. Daryl Hannah plays the woman he's attracted to, and Sam Neill is in this movie because apparently he was bored. The film is based on the book of the same name by H.F. Saint. H.F. Saint's one and only writing credit as well. This movie is in the later part of John Carpenter's career, which I think we probably all do have our various opinions about. I am very curious, though, starting with you, Mike, exposure to this film and thoughts watching it for this episode, because I don't think any of us thought we'd probably ever talk about this movie for anything.
I feel like I saw this before, but I think I just saw the trailer and probably some HBO specials or behind the scenes kind of stuff for this, because everybody was breaking their arms, patting themselves on the back when it came to the special effects of this movie. And for that reason, I actually went back and I watched the films Invisible Agent and the original Invisible Man and saw so many of these very similar effects. Of course, done in a much more crude way, but just as effective back in 1933. Yeah, I really don't think I saw this all the way through ever until this weekend to prepare for the film. Read a lot of the screenplay, read a lot of Saint's book, and big differences between the book and the screenplay. Excited to talk about those. And I think as an Ivan Reitman film, this might have worked a little bit better. I can see the logic of John Carpenter directing this, but yeah, this felt like it was the beginning of kind of a slump for him. I know In the Mouth of Madness was pretty good, in my opinion, and I think that's because he and Sam Neill got along on this film. I think he and Sam Neill were the only two people that got along.
According to the rumors, at least.
Holy shit. There is not a lot of love going on, and especially Chevy Chase basically not getting along with Ivan Reitman, and that's why Reitman left the project. And John Carpenter didn't get along with him either, but apparently he suffered through and just has nothing nice to say about the man to this day. How about you, Mark? What was your history with this one?
I don't know. This is one of the ones that I thought I had seen. I probably have mentioned that multiple times on the show, but nothing rang any bells for me, and I don't know if I'm getting it confused with Hollow Man.
How dare you mention the movie I was going to mention I watched for this episode, you son of a bitch.
The thing that brings me back to thinking that I actually saw this in the theater is that, and I could be, again, conflating it with Hollow Man, is that it reminded me of the short-lived TV show The Invisible Man with David McCallum.
On the Sci-Fi Channel, right?
Which I watched and loved as a kid. I loved that show, and I loved how they did the effects, and something about the effects, even when I was watching it this week for the show, reminded me of that, of when they paint his face on, because they did something similar on that show. He would wear a mask of his own face and then peel it off. But I think Hollow Man kind of might do the same sort of thing as well. I haven't seen that. I don't know. I don't even know if I've seen that movie, but either one of these that I did see, it's been decades. So I still am not totally sure. I feel like I saw this on the strength of John Carpenter, because in 1992, I would have been heavy into his stuff still, even with They Live coming out a couple years prior, and Big Trouble in Little China was a favorite. So I had been seeing his films in the theater at this point on the strength of his previous horror films, which I went through religiously on video. If I did see it, nothing really stuck. And it was basically like watching it for the first time. And as our history with the show progresses and we get more and more negative, I have to say that I liked this one. I enjoyed watching this. It's short, for one thing, if I'm remembering that correctly. So that was nice. I think it has a 90-minute runtime or less. So it's over. But I enjoyed it. For me, still, with the last, and this goes with the last couple of films we've watched, Chevy Chase is the low point of the film. He appears to be given it something, which has been a complaint over the last few films as well, like phoning it in, but it doesn't seem like he's phoning it in. But still don't think he's the right pick for this. Still don't think the humor pays off really well, although he's not doing a lot of the pratfall stuff and a lot of the one-liner asides. That's toned down at least. But I did have a good time watching it. I did enjoy the special effects. It's right on the cusp, same year as Jurassic Park, I believe. So definitely not as amazing as the effects in Jurassic Park, but you could see, okay, this CGI thing is going to start really changing how we make movies and how we view movies. So I enjoyed seeing that kind of early part of that process. And, the rest of the cast is fine. It's nice to see Michael McKean in there. Kind of early role for Patricia Heaton,
who's doing her best Annie Potts.
I was like, wait, who is this? And I had to go look at the cast list. I'm like, oh, early role for her. Sam Neill is fine in this. He seems to be having fun. And
it feels like he's the only person having fun in this movie for me.
Yeah, so maybe because he's not in a lot of scenes with Chevy, he probably was having more fun than anybody else that had to share so many scenes with him. And I kind of enjoyed how they dealt with him being totally invisible, including his clothes that he was wearing when this event happened, and switching from us being able to see him as viewers, and then when they wanted to, having him be invisible on the screen, and how they differentiated that. And I don't know, I liked this one. Chris, how about you? That was my long explanation.
I think this movie is complete and utter mess. I'm disappointed every time I've had to watch it, because every time I watch it, I'm convinced it's somehow going to be a good movie, and it's not. This, I think, for me, looking at what John Carpenter worked on, this is in a weird spot in his career, because my favorite John Carpenter movie would come out after this one. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the last good John Carpenter movie to come out. And a lot of people don't even like it. A lot of people don't like In the Mouth of Madness. And I get why. In the Mouth of Madness for me is, I get it's not the high point for John Carpenter. It's my favorite John Carpenter, but I feel like that's the nadir of his career is In the Mouth of Madness, because Village of the Damned, Escape from LA, Vampires, which I just recently rewatched, Ghosts of Mars, and The Ward. Escape from LA I know has its defenders. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but all of those movies are bad. Post In the Mouth of Madness, and again, even In the Mouth of Madness, people don't. I would go as far as to say most people can find very little defensible with anything post They Live. Fuck, man, that's 88. And that's 4 years before this movie. Obviously, John Carpenter is an interesting choice. I think, yes, to your point, Mike, Ivan Reitman, I think, is the better choice here in terms of the tone. But John Carpenter has been able to direct comedic films and action-y sci-fi comedic films.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, Begley already mentioned it. Big Trouble in Little China being like the key example here. That movie's tone is consistent throughout. This movie is tonally inconsistent. That movie also is written by Gary Goldman and David Z. Weinstein, who have a pretty decent track record. And with Memoirs of an Invisible Man, Dana Olson and William Goldman and Robert Collector, like, Dana Olson has a pretty good track record. Dana Olson wrote The Fucking Birds, which is another movie that's tonally inconsistent. It needs to be. And then Dana Olson worked on George of the Jungle, which I actually really like. Big fan of that movie. And I think that movie is really smart and well written. And that's why it's such a good movie. So I don't really think any one thing is to blame, best I can tell, with this movie, other than it would seem the hatred that John Carpenter has for Chevy Chase.
And Daryl Hannah.
Yeah, but Chevy Chase was the one that John Carpenter wanted to be lit on fire or be dead, is what he said. And I quote, "He who shall not be named needs to be killed." No, that's terrible. He needs to be set on fire. No, anyway, it's all fine. I survived it. That's what Carpenter. That's pretty harsh. At this point in 1992 or 91 or 90, Chevy Chase's reputation is well known. Everybody knows at this point, like, he's a pain in the ass to work with. He's unmanageable because of his inability to get out of his own way with his own ego. But in my mind, I'm just like, everybody knows this already. We got to do something better here to mitigate this away. We can't just keep casting this guy and then going, he's really hard to work with. Like, we know that. They've known that for like a decade plus at this point. I don't know, if he's so hard to work with and yet the returns are continuing to diminish, maybe stop casting him in things. Which is where this ends up going, which is why our podcast does not extend much further beyond where we are now, because Chevy Chase in films as a vehicle, this is ostensibly within reason. We are nearing the end of this podcast, like, for good reason. We have 3 more movies left and another movie that is not from this time period. Chevy Chase is so uninterested in this movie. Like, nothing is interesting about what he is doing. Like, he is phoning it in. I understand that he seemingly was rather committed to this role. He lost a lot of weight. More involved in the script and, like, the final version of the script than I think probably is made clear through anything I've read. Because, again, like, he didn't like the way the script was initially, how comedic it was. He didn't want it to be Clark Griswold invisible, which I get. But at the same time, like, then just fucking cast somebody else. And to prepare for this episode, I did watch Hollow Man. Hollow Man is...
Oh, did you?
I did. I like Hollow Man actually a fair amount.
I'm not going to yuck your yum,
When did that come out?
1999.
Okay, that's much later. Yeah, I don't even know if I've seen that movie then.
Excuse me, 2000. So right pre 9/11.
Oh God, I probably didn't even see that then.
That was right when that one on Sci-Fi Channel came out. There was a TV show. Oh God, what was
the guy from the first episode of that Twilight Zone reboot with Forrest Whitaker where he becomes black?
I like that guy.
Yeah, me too. I like that show a fair amount. Hollow Man 2 is not terrible. It has Christian Slater in it. And there's 2 Hollow Men. It's Hollow Man 2, but there are 2 Hollow Men.
TOO?
Yeah.
Hollow Man
Hollow
2.
Man also.
Another one. Christian Slater and Peter Fasinelli in Hollow Man 2, of all people. Invisible characters and invisible people in movies, like, it's not a thing the way it used to be, like that Invisible Man movie, that Lee Wannell film came out a couple years ago, which smacked.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good Lord, that movie is way better than it had any right to be.
I really like that, yeah. That felt like what the Hollow Man should have been. You know, just like this fucking crazy guy tormenting this woman.
You mean instead we have Kevin Bacon raping a woman instead? Because get it, guys, if he's invisible, he can just do whatever he wants. We know. We know. Yeah, and look, Hollow Man's not subtle.
That's the moral dilemma of being invisible, right? What are you going to do with that? Which doesn't come into play in this movie at all, thank God.
Nothing comes into play in this movie. This movie is completely uninterested in seemingly anything. For the most part, for me, this movie feels almost just like a bunch of fucking sight gags strung together with the laziest of plot. And to both of your points about Sam Neill, I'm glad that John Carpenter and Sam Neill get along so well, because In the Mouth of Madness, like I said, is my favorite Carpenter movie. That seemingly comes out of this nightmare of a film. But man, yeah, this movie is just a disappointment, because on paper, it seems like it could work. But then in execution, it is just completely at odds with itself most of the time.
Well, you can feel reverberations of what the screenplay and the book were in this movie. Things like him being so hungry all the time and how disgusted he is when he eats, and that he can watch his whole digestive system while that's going on.
Which we never even see in the fucking movie. Like, we don't see that.
Well, we see a little bit when he vomits.
Like, they make such a big deal out of it, but they don't make a big deal out of it in a way that's important.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is, like, with him being so thin in this movie, I was like, oh, maybe play into that and like have him fatter at the beginning and show like that it's really taking a toll on his body, that he is so grossed out by this that he can't handle it. And just all of that stuff, it's so inconsistent as far as what happens when and when it doesn't. Like the bubblegum stuff at the beginning, and like, yeah, his clothes are invisible, so he's not running around naked like Ed Begley Jr. in Amazon Women on the Moon.
Hey! Here comes the Invisible Man again.
You, go and get some help. I'll watch him here.
Oh my, now how did that happen? Must be a ghost in here.
This is unreal. I'm terribly sorry.
And so many of the other Invisible Man characters. Yeah, no problem. I mean, I loved watching Claude Rains last night. Well, listening to Claude Rains, where he's just having a hooting and hollering time, like as a shirt dancing around, and like, woohoo, look at me. And he's like literally like woohooing at points.
He's invisible. That's what's the matter with him. If he gets the rest of them clothes off, we'll never catch him in 1,000 years. Put the handcuffs on. How can I handcuff a blooming shirt? Quick, get hold of him!
Whee! Ever see a shirt? Make a phone call.
Ooh, pretty scary, huh? Ooh.
It just feels like there's so many things that this movie wanted to be and never really got to, like the loneliness of being invisible. I mean, we talked about that Twilight Zone episode years ago where the guy wasn't invisible, but everyone treated him like he was, and they weren't allowed to speak to him. And there was the one blind guy that came up and was talking to him, and somebody came up and whispered invisible to him, and the guy was just like, boop, stopped, got up and left kind of thing. We start with him in an electronics store, I guess, with all of these TV monitors and a camera, and the chair moves, and he starts doing these tricks like with the bubble gum and all this. And then we never come back. We just never, I'm like, what the hell? It's kind of like at the beginning of Aladdin when you've got the old man who's telling the story of Aladdin. We never get back to that old man. You know, if you start with a frame, end with a frame, please.
They get back to it because it's the Sam Neill character watching the tape that's like, but to what end is the point? Like, it to your point, Mike, it doesn't go anywhere. It serves no purpose.
I didn't read the book, so I wasn't aware of how deep they get into what happens if you're invisible, which makes a lot of sense as a psychological kind of thriller aspect. But when he gets ill because he sees his food digesting, I'm like, just put on a t-shirt. He loses it. He's worried about his clothes, but he does take them off multiple times during the film because he can't see his clothes either. So take off your clothes, have a dedicated spot where you put them, throw on your eating t-shirt, and eat away.
Guys, I've eaten stuff in the dark, like I've eaten popcorn and stuff. I don't see my hands when I'm eating, but I know how to eat in the dark.
It's weird how they would be eating in the dark while watching this fucking movie.
I can't see my hands. I can't eat Chinese food.
It's almost like I can't feel
You have
them.
a sense of self. I mean, I hate to be blind, but how do blind people manage to do this stuff? If you think,
oh, they don't eat. They usually die by the time they're 5 years old.
Better than invisible Chevy Chase, apparently.
You have a sense of where your body is in space. And yes, it would take a while to get back if you're all of a sudden invisible and you can't see anything. And you're like, part of your spatial awareness is you seeing your hand reach for a cup. But at some point, it's not going to be that hard to do. You're going to understand where your body is in relation to other things. But also the eating thing, which I just thought, this is an excuse to have a CGI stomach there. When you mention it like as part of that, this is why he's so thin, which I didn't even really tune into. Like, just put a fucking shirt on and then you won't have to see your stomach digesting. This is a non-issue.
Yeah, he just looks very strange to me, and I don't know if it's the toupee or the weight loss. Like, something's going on where I'm just like, he looks so odd in this movie. Not to pick on, like, how he physically looks, but I think just the wig really did it. And then for me watching this, I'm just like, well, this is totally a movie that we've seen before here. This is modern problems, even to the point of them going to like the beach house and stuff. I'm like, okay, where's Dabney Coleman to show up? Instead, you get that guy. Oh, I had to look him up. Gregory Paul Martin as the character Richard, who has one of the most strange voices that I've ever heard before. I'm like, what is going on with this guy?
Why is he there?
Holy shit!
Because he's the son of the fifth Beatle. Literally, he's the eldest son of the guy who's considered to be the fifth Beatle.
George Martin, producer George Martin. That's his son. Okay, I can actually see that when you say that.
It's
interesting.
Actually, it's actually Nepo.
Let me tell you how I told John to make Strawberry Fields Forever. He had 2 songs, and I said, John, why don't we take these and put them together? Oh, man, the complete Beatles documentary is just basically George Martin sucking his own dick for 2 hours.
But why is he there? Like, in the movie, why is he there?
I have no idea who this character is. He's not really introduced.
Yeah, Michael McKean and Patricia
just shows
Heaton,
up.
They know that Daryl Hannah kind of liked... I mean, he's disappeared at this point, but are they bringing him for her? Like, why?
Yeah, she's a strange character. And plus, I wanted to bring this up that she's actually 2 characters that were combined in the book. There's Ann Epstein and there's Alice Barlow, and those 2 characters merge into one love interest. And I think it works better, but at the same time, I have no idea who she is, what motivates her, why she's okay with all of this stuff. And after he stands her up, it's like, okay, yeah, relationship over for me.
Yeah, which I guess is why they bring whatever his name is, the
Richard,
yeah.
Richard, I'm really going to have to say goodnight.
There's something I haven't told you. My wife left me 3 months ago. God, I'm such a mess. Can't work. Can't sleep.
Fucking good reason for that, bozo. I have a hard time with parts of this movie, and the parts of this movie that I have a hard time with are the Chevy Chase Daryl Hannah stuff, because they don't have a lot of chemistry.
Has he had chemistry with anybody?
Goldie Hawn, Beverly D'Angelo.
It seems more like she puts up with him.
What was the chicken? Funny Money? Was that Elizabeth Shue?
No, that was, is she a 3-name person? She's the gun in Betty Lou's handbag girl.
Yeah. Penelope Ann Miller.
Thank you. Three-name person.
I'm surprised I remembered that, to be honest with you.
Elizabeth Shue was in Hollow Man.
She was in Hollow Man getting raped. Yeah.
That's Rona Mitra, who's getting raped in Hollow Man by Kevin Bacon.
And isn't there an invisible gorilla or something?
And there's an invisible gorilla in that movie. Man, we should have been watching that movie instead. It actually uses the invisibility in a fun way. There's that plasticine mask, like in this movie. It's like in this movie, him being invisible is...
Try that in this, kinda.
I know, but it's in this movie, they're less interested in him being invisible and more the fact that it's Chevy Chase. And it's like, you got to balance the two. And I like the gimmick of, oh, we're going to have him on screen.
Claude Rains is on screen for 5 seconds at the end of the movie.
We know it's Chevy Chase.
It's fine if he's in costume and invisible in a, invisibility movie. But when it's just like a camera following nothing and then things on strings being pulled up, it becomes tiresome for me personally. Like I get tired of that shit.
But isn't Chevy Chase just walking around on screen also equally as fucking tiresome at this point? Maybe specifically for us, it's tiresome. But
for me, watching the film, it was nice to have both happening where, and, even within the same scene, he's visible to us, the viewer, and then he's not, kind of depending on the situation. Like if somebody walks in the room now, they're showing him invisible. But when it's just him alone, we can see him. Because I do think that gets tiresome to watch floating objects, and even their blue screen in this with the help of ILM and all that isn't that great when it's just blue screen stuff. So I appreciate that he is there on screen for a lot of the film, and then in certain instances it's just he's completely invisible for me as a viewer.
So much of the effects just feel like it's one shot. We're just going to do one shot where we do the quote unquote magic. And so it feels like, okay, today we're doing this shot and then we'll do all the surrounding things, tomorrow. And then next week we're going to do this shot. And it just feels so stunty where it's like, okay, oh, how's this going to work? Oh, wow, he's smoking a cigarette. Or
check out my tape measure, Mike. I'm going to throw it towards the screen in 3D. That's what it feels like. There is so much pretense put on the invisibility that it's like it never is comfortable with the invisibility in the movie. And I'm surprised that Carpenter is the person that we're having this happen with, because John Carpenter had to deal with worse problems on The Thing with the puppetry and like all of that. And here we are like with just like fucking like CGI and some practical effects. And like this movie just wobbles around because it's like, we'll just isolate it to these scenes. It's like, no, I actually want the fact that he's invisible to be part of the script, like integrated better than just, here's an invisible thing, and here's Daryl Hannah and Chevy Chase, and here's an invisible thing. Like, it doesn't seem very well put together, and it doesn't hold together very well as a script because it is at odds with itself tonally, almost constantly.
The best part of the movie for me is Sam Neill when he has the gun taped to his head. And he's just acting like he's being held by an invisible person.
The purely practical stuff in this is what I enjoyed. The hat on something. It doesn't look like it's on a string, but they're manipulating it somehow, but it's just the hat. It's not a green screened hat, which they also employ. And it's not the hat on Chevy Chase, obviously, but it looks to me so much better knowing that the hat is actually there, but they're manipulating it in a way that looks better than wire, the wire trick. And when they do that stuff in the original Invisible Man, like when he takes his wrappings off in that movie, and it's a wire framed figure or something that he's doing it off of, that still blows my mind. And the little goofy parts in this, like when his pants are running and it's obviously an animatronic thing.
That is so bad.
I love that. It's bad, but I prefer that to when he's actually pulling them off and it's green screen. It's like, I like the goofy running legs because it's actually there on set and they're filming it and it's kind of fun and clunky, but and he does the same sort of thing in the park when he meets up with that scientist where he pulls his stuff off and it's the same deal. It's like a wire, frame figure and it's just that there. I like that.
That's way better to me than the running with the pants. And running is not at the same pace as the other person who's running.
Yeah, it's not. It's not even close. And it's very obviously a robot or just guys underneath the out of frame of the camera lifting stuff up. It's very obvious, but I appreciate that there are still those practical gags in this, like the original film. Not necessarily the total callback to Claude Rains when he's in that getup in that other beach house that he breaks into to meet up with Daryl Hannah, where he is dressed exactly like Claude Rains. But I mean, that's kind of a fun little goof, I guess.
In Invisible Agent, there's a part where they put cold cream on the guy's face and he ends up having a face that way. So I'm like, oh, okay. So they did that back in when was Invisible Agent? Was that 42? And it was basically the same thing that they were doing with the Daryl Hannah scene, except that you could see behind the head in the, in Memoirs part, whereas it was just the dude with makeup on his face, basically. And that's how they reveal at the end that he's come back to being human, as she's wiping away the makeup and you realize, oh no, she can actually see his skin now.
Yeah, and I like that little bit of CGI with his face, his painted on face.
They were banking everything on that shot. That was everywhere that you could possibly see. Whereas for me, the more effective stuff was that building and the model of the building. I think that was great.
I wonder how much they were like, this is going to be a Hitchcock thing, right? Because this is also trying to be like a Hitchcock thing.
It's not even close enough. There is not enough intrigue and mistaken identity. And when they get to the train station, I'm like, ooh, because I mean, how many times does Hitchcock have a fucking train in his movies, right? And then it just like he falls off and then that's it. It's like, oh, okay.
It's no foul play, I'll tell you that.
That was the other thing when it opens and I'm like, oh, San Francisco.
Blonde woman.
Started thinking about foul play and was like, yep, I'd rather be watching that film.
Yeah, which was weird because both the screenplay and the book were set in Manhattan. So I don't know if Goldman so Goldman did all the rewrites on this sucker. And I don't know if he was told, okay, move it to San Francisco. If it's closer to ILM or something. I don't know why they did that.
Secretly desiring to work out of their backyards as opposed to across the United States, right?
I do appreciate all of the henchmen in this film as well. Some of these guys have very familiar faces that I've seen in a lot of stuff before, and they're always pretty good. I thought for sure, just from the opening credits, now this is a weird complaint, opening credits, they have this guy in a car and he's got this big mask on, right? Because they can see the Invisible Man. Apparently, even though I don't know if we ever get a POV shot from these guys.
We do not.
Makes a lot of sense. Give some Predator vision or something.
No, we get.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah, we get a couple. Of Sam Neill, I believe, sees him in the hallway, like sees the outline of his figure. He looks a couple times and they don't see anything, but at some point, one of them does see his heat, transfer or whatever through the glasses. Kind of clunkily done. They don't really utilize it very well.
So they show one of the guys, the blonde henchman, who is probably the most prevalent of the henchmen. They show him in the car with his big machine on his face, and it says Michael McKean. The credits come up, Michael McKean right there. And so I was like, oh, cool. He's going to be like reprising his role or founding his role from the Coneheads movie.
Thank you, Mike. Donald R. DiCicco.
Well, thank you, Chris. I never would have seen that except for ranking on Bass. So
I love Coneheads, man. That movie's really good.
And to echo what you were saying, Mark, I honestly don't hate this movie. I thought it was decent. I was prepared, kind of like when we talked about Nothing But Trouble. I was prepared for the worst because I'd only ever heard horrible things about this. So when I watched it, I was like, meh. But it was kind of like, it doesn't impress me that much. I was just like, well, that's okay. That's a decent movie. It's up there with Modern Problems for me, where I'm just like, okay, yeah, I can see this. All right. I still find Modern Problems more charming. Where's the Nell Carter here?
Where's the Dabney Coleman? I mean, come on.
Well, you mean you have Sam Neill. That's the thing. Like, Sam Neill is he's miscast horribly in this movie. He is too good to be in this movie. And because he's too good to be in this movie, he's miscast. Time is being wasted here, as far as I'm concerned. Like, Sam Neill is a much better actor than this movie needs. And because he's such a good actor, he just like he outshines everybody else because he understood the assignment the way nobody else did, seemingly. Chevy Chase, once again, I don't know what his deal is, but like when they need voiceover, sometimes he's there and sometimes he's not. Fletch and Fletch Lives, he's there.
I forgot about the oh heavenly dogness of this all.
It's better than that.
Fletch Lives is great, but oh heavenly dog, fuck. Remember how bad that was?
This is better than that.
Early in his fucking career. What was the excuse then? What are we using as the metric here to say he's better
than Oh Heavenly Dog? There's some inflection in his voice. In Oh Heavenly Dog, it's just like like he is literally reading it over a phone line in Oh Heavenly Dog.
I had such higher hopes for this movie. Oh Heavenly Dog, I had no hopes for.
That's a you problem.
This movie problem. You got John Carpenter and Chevy Chase working together. That's this movie's fault for getting my hopes up, not me. Like, fuck this movie for giving us the hope that there might be something interesting here. When are these two ever going to work together? Otherwise, they don't.
And the whole thing, when they first try to catch him after he turns invisible and we've got all the henchmen and before the building kind of explodes into a million pieces, all of their breaths are visible. But they don't use that to figure out where Chevy Chase is. That's an opportunity for a good special effect that they just completely let slip by.
Yeah, they probably didn't even think about that as far as a cold, chilly night up in the North Bay or something. And if they even filmed that scene there, who knows where they filmed that. But yeah, if it wasn't in the script, they probably didn't give it much consideration. They put all their money into those other effects, the running effects. And I was actually kind of surprised when I watched the special features stuff at how much work they put into when he is running down the street in San Francisco, you know, with the blackface on.
Yeah, seeing Chevy Chase in blackface. And I was glad that they talked about how they did stuff to his teeth, because I kept wondering, like, how are they getting his teeth so white in these scenes? And it looked like they were literally using whiteout on his teeth.
They were. Yeah, they did. Yeah, which is crazy.
Painting the inside of his mouth black and using those huge contacts to black and blue out his eyes.
That's why he wasn't as engaged with this movie, because he's not a practical effects guy. He's an actor. Don't put that on Cornelius Crane's face. How dare you?
According to the special effects guy, they warned him in advance. We're going to put you through the ringer.
Of course they warned him, and he didn't fucking listen. He was taking his makeup off early in the day, is what I read. Like, he was acting like an asshole. Here's the thing. There are actors who don't fucking care, that sign up for this, and when they're told what to expect, they actually listen. Like Robert Englund. That guy's been in the chair how many times? Sat for how many hours? Jesus Christ, Chevy Chase couldn't hack it for one movie? Bro, for real? Not to diminish you or how you feel, but come on, man. Like, they told you what was going to be expected of you. With the Memoirs of an Invisible Man, it's in a Ralph Ellison book, motherfucker. I don't know what the fuck you're expecting, but with a John Carpenter movie with Invisible Man in the title, based off a book where a guy actually goes invisible, do you really think you're going to escape making this movie unscathed in terms of having to be put through the ringer with practical effects? You shouldn't. No one else would. Jesus H. Christ. I don't want to be in Ghostbusters. Imagine if I had to be slimed at any point. Wouldn't that be an inconvenience to me? Yeah, Chevy.
I was very happy to see Donald Lee come back as the cab driver after he'd been Eddie Lee in Big Trouble in Little China. That was kind of nice. And I was very happy to see Rosalind Chow in this. And I kept sitting there going, why do I know this person? Why do I know this person? Then finally I go, oh, it's Keiko. Keiko O'Brien from Star Trek Next Generation.
She looked vaguely familiar to me, and I looked her up. I'm like, oh, she's been in tons of stuff.
Was she Miles O'Brien's wife?
You didn't know that Miles O'Brien got married?
No, remember we've had this conversation. I am woefully underwatched of TNG, but TOS backwards and forwards.
She was definitely a big player in Deep Space Nine as well.
What about Ellen Albertini Dow, once again playing old woman? Once again, second time this year we've seen her, Mike, because she was also in Patch Adams.
Hey, second time we all saw her. I was on that episode, motherfucker.
I forgot, Mark. That was where the end all began.
I felt so bad for her because she gets slammed to the ground, and then you hear that ADR line.
Oh, I must have slipped.
You just got slammed to the ground by the door being kicked in.
How long has that lady been around, man? All the way up through The Wedding Singer and God knows what else.
She's only been acting since 1985, if you can believe that.
Ah.
She wasn't one of the ones doing the Scrabble game in that other Chevy Chase movie, was she? And then you got Sam Anderson, who looks so much like Kenneth Tigar to me, or Tigar, that it's just like, oh, have I seen him? And he's been in so many things. He plays like a chairman in this one. I'm like,
he was the principal in Forrest Gump in the next year.
God, I can't believe that Forrest Gump was the next year.
Or 2 years from this. Yeah, this
2
is
years.
92,
I mean,
yeah.
God, so yeah, 93 was Jurassic Park, 94 being Forrest Gump. I mean, that's like just crazy how we have the quantum leap of special effects. And then shit these days doesn't look even nearly as good as those movies.
I was watching one of those Corridor Crew things. I think they said like all the good CGI has happened. And I think that might be the case. Like,
it might be.
I think we've seen that moment. And I think we're like on the downhill side of it, which is fine. Everything has to have that moment. It'll come back again. There'll be something that awes all of us. It could be Avatar 3, big blue people fucking each other. Sorry, James Cameron. But that's the thing, like, with this, like, this movie is a direct kind of expression of James Cameron and all those movies of the 80s, because they thought they could make a movie like this, where you have a actor essentially taking something like the Robert Patrick T-1000 to the next level of what happens if we start full-on replacing an actor in a movie with a practical / CGI, like, mixed effect. And this, in my mind, goes to show you can't do it just yet. Can't get there just yet. And definitely not with Chevy Chase. Like, he's not the right actor for this. You have to have someone who's committed to the bit. Got to commit to the bit. You can't complain about playing a character in an Invisible Man movie who you know is going to be invisible. Like, you can't complain about. I find that hard to be sympathetic for when you knew what the assignment was ahead of time.
He doesn't get any sympathy from me, but...
No, you get paid millions of dollars, bitch. Stop bitching.
Who in 92 would have been better in this role?
Do you know who would have been better? A guy who's already in this fucking movie, Tobolowsky.
Ooh, okay.
Every time Tobolowsky shows up in this movie as this guy that I'm guessing this is the guy that Sam Neill is trying to kind of get around. Like, I'm going to do my own dark ops or black ops in order to get the Invisible Man, and I'll be basically the king of the world kind of thing, and just fuck my boss, who is Tobolowsky. Every time he shows up, I perk up. I'm like, oh, cool. Now we've got a real actor here on screen. This is great. And like him and Sam Neill going back and forth, like, yeah, this is some really solid stuff. So much better than what I'm seeing with Chevy Chase.
Again, would it have been a little on the nose? Fucking Kurt Russell could have been in this movie, for fuck's sake. I don't know. Like, he worked with him so many fucking times. Like, why not? This movie's tone should have been...
It feels like Chase was holding the cards, though.
This movie's tone should have been closer to something more akin to John Carpenter's other comedic films. But Chevy Chase, I feel like, was like, nah, I want this to be my thing. And it's in 92, is Chevy Chase really dictating that much?
That's what I heard. I heard that Chase and Hannah knew that the studio had their back and they're just going to do whatever and didn't really care what John Carpenter was saying at all.
Which is fucking insane, because this is 1992, not 1985, when I would have understood that with Chevy Chase, at least. Like, Daryl Hannah, okay, still on the come up, but Chevy Chase at this point, like, nobody's like, I'm going to see this movie because Chevy Chase is in it. This is the end of that. This is really the end of that.
Guys, other than Blade Runner, what movies is Daryl Hannah good in?
Is she good in?
Good in? Mike, have you ever heard of the films of Quentin Tarantino?
I possibly have, yeah. So her as that crazy nurse?
I wouldn't put that up there. I think it's Blade Runner and Splash.
Okay, Splash.
But I've never even seen Splash. I just know people will go to bat for Splash.
Steel Magnolias I liked.
She's in Roxanne. She's fine in Roxanne. Doesn't have a lot to do, really. She's the love interest, in these things.
Mike, are you asking us to reevaluate Daryl Hannah's...
That's not our next podcast, Chris. Just
No, God, no. Please don't ask me to do that, because that's an even more Herculean task than this one. God. No, I'm asking you, are you asking us to readdress whether or not Daryl Hannah is actually deserving of being considered a good actress?
Yeah, I kind of am.
No, I wasn't asking if you want to do a podcast. Jesus Christ.
She's fine in The Pope of Greenwich Village. She puts up with a lot of shit in that movie.
There was an interview I watched with somebody who, it wasn't Carpenter, but was basically giving voice to Carpenter in this interview. And he was saying, oh yeah, this is before Daryl Hannah fucked up her body with all kinds of surgeries. I'm not aware of that. Like, when it comes to Daryl Hannah, the only thing that comes to my mind is Jackson Brown, and that he was a piece of shit and beat her up. And that's about it. And then the persistent rumors that I used to read in Movie Line that one of the actresses in Hollywood was a former man. And I used to think, well, Daryl Hannah. Daryl, it's right there. Come on.
Einhorn is fatal. That was a hell of a Shaggy Dog story, right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good on you. Looking at Daryl Hannah's filmography, like, there isn't a lot of things that I really resonate with. My Favorite Martian, I saw that as a kid. She is like Armand Asante adjacent in a lot of ways. Like, I think she had her moment and then went on to... Blade Runner is a good credit to have.
She's married to Neill Young now. I don't know. What are you going to do? She doesn't need to work, I guess. I don't know.
She's like Kevin Bacon. He's married to Kristen Chenoweth. He doesn't have to work.
He married to Tyra
sorry, you're
Sedgwick.
right. Other blonde small woman. Jesus Christ. Kristen Chenoweth is married to who? Kevin Kline?
No, that is Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe Cates.
That's Phoebe Cates.
I don't know who Kristen Chenoweth is married to.
Not Jeff Daniels, who did the audio narration for the audio book of this.
I would really like to hear that.
Now, he could have done this.
Which I would like to hear as well, because I think, to your point just now, Mark, he would actually work.
Because he's got that everyman quality, and he can play comedy and drama very well.
I think of Purple Rose of Cairo with him and how he does just what you're saying in that, like, seamlessly.
So there's the answer, Mark, to your question for Jeff Daniels. To get it all the way back to Jeff Daniels, like, I think Jeff Daniels would have worked in this really well. Honestly, I don't know if their chemistry would have worked, but Dan Aykroyd could have been great here, because Dan Aykroyd would have committed to this fucking...
He would have committed to that makeup.
Of all the people. Yeah, of all the people. Like, Dragnet is a much better movie than it has any right to be, because he commits to that role of Joe Friday. And that movie's amazing because he is such a fucking specific character. And it could have worked here, too. It really could have.
But would he have used his voice from Caddyshack 2?
Oh, boy. I'm invisible.
For like an hour and a half. Fuck off.
I can't even do that voice, man.
I really wanted to eat something, but I couldn't because I didn't like to look at my stomach.
What is he making in that movie? Like some sort of hideous burrito thing? Like it's like a chili cheese burrito?
Running the food truck. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's cover or something. It was smart to have Chase visible throughout this whole thing and not just do all the gags with like the doors open, the doors close.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
For me, the most effective part is when he's running and he runs into a sheet and suddenly you can see the body of the sheet. And I'm like, oh, that's some Peter Jackson kind of stuff. Like that's going to inspire Weta when it comes to things like The Frighteners. Yeah. And then eventually that becomes, like the Ring Wraiths and stuff. I thought that was really nice, but like some of the other stuff, it was just so gaggy to show what Chase is actually doing, and I guess to make sure that the clothes actually turn invisible too. But yeah, and it was funny. I was watching the Siskel and Ebert, and they're like, well, what about his clothes? I'm like, well, they addressed that. They addressed the clothes thing.
Multiple times they address it.
But then they're like, well, what about his fillings? I'm like, well, yeah, his fillings would have gone too. But then it was funny. They also said, well, what about dirt under his fingernails? And I go, well, that was actually addressed, I think, in Invisible Agent, going all the way back there when he said, if I get dirt under my fingernails, people will be able to see where I'm at.
They play that out with the rain on him, which is...
Oh, I like the rain stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised at how difficult that effect was. I sort of figured it was all CGI, like just they used just his shape. Not that they actually filmed him in all black to get his shape, but just matted him out like they did with some of the other effects. And to see that it was, and kind of get a kick out of having him have to be completely painted black inside his mouth and everything else. It's like, oh, good. That was one of the times they put him through the ringer for that little shot. But it was a cool little effect.
It is funny also to think of Chevy Chase as having tormented by the special effects people. It is funny, right?
I'm sure their torment got more intense as the film went on, too.
One could only imagine.
He's going to wipe it off after 15 minutes anyway. Let's keep him in the chair for 6 hours.
Got his ass. And guess what? They're still fucking paying us.
This made me really sad. I spent money on this movie, and I bought the Blu-ray to get all the special features. But the special features weren't that much. I mean, there were like 5 different trailers for it.
Oh, more than 5. There were more than 5. There were like 5 minutes of trailers on that.
And then there was a making of that was so easily found on YouTube. I really didn't need to buy it. But there was a great thing out on YouTube I found, which was an HBO special, half an hour long. And it was Chase taking the viewer through, like, here's the making of the thing. They had this bit where he was talking with the production designer, and the production designer was boring him to death kind of thing. And they kept coming back to that. They also had him carpooling with Mel Gibson at the beginning and end of the special, which I was just very surprised by. I was like, well, why isn't this on the Blu-ray? I'm sure it was licensing, but it was just such a good special feature that they really should have had that on there.
Yeah, I started watching it. I saw your message a little too late. I was like, oh shit, I've only got like 10 minutes before we start recording, but I did start it and was like, oh, this is better than the stuff that's on that you sent over previously?
That I spent $20 for. Come on.
I was going to mention Mel Gibson as a choice for the character as a gag because of that. Like, hey, he could have played this.
He could have, yeah. It feels like that was around the time, because Mel Gibson loves to get messed up in movies, like that one Man Without a Face or whatever that was. And, every time he's in a movie, he has to get beaten up pretty good. But I guess he just would have been too pretty in this movie, and he couldn't have handled that. Too pretty. He's okay with blue screen, though. He loves painting his face at least half blue. He could have just done the other half, too, and been just knocked right out of there.
And he can play, Lethal Weapon. He can do the comedy and the serious, so...
Yeah, that's where this movie really falters, is being funny. That, to me, is a big shame here.
I didn't really look at it as a comedy.
Film,
I didn't really look at it as
a... It's not a comedy, it's supposed to be. It's got Chevy Chase in it.
It's got Michael McKean in it. It's got Patricia Heaton in it. It's got
El Tobo in it.
It's got George Martin's son in it, famous comedian.
Patricia Heaton just in there for like just a few minutes, it felt like. And when she spills her drink on herself because he's the one that knocked it into it, I thought that could have been the most interesting scene in the whole movie, where you get to stand around and hear your friends talk about how they really feel about you.
I think Halloway got in a lot of trouble, came out here, got himself nice and loaded, and just walked into the ocean one day.
Oh, come on. Nick's way too narcissistic to kill himself.
How can you say these things? I thought you were Nick's friends.
And interact with more stuff. That's like the only thing he does. There's a little deleted scene where he knocks something off the table as well, but he could have been fucking around with the whole deal and really freaking him out. And he could have done stuff to George Martin's son and had him have a fit.
I wish they would have given us more of those deleted scenes, especially when it comes to context, because there's that one where it's Chevy Chase in a hospital bed, and there are all these beautiful women in negligee or bra and panties. Yeah, lingerie. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. I almost said negligee. All in lingerie. And then it's Sam Neill and I think it's the guy from the Institute that gets taken out, like them colluding about what they're going to do to Chevy Chase, and one's got a knife, the other one's got a drill. I'm like, okay, where was this supposed to be? This would have been interesting.
Yeah, because they mentioned he's having strange dreams because of this whole thing, and there is one dream sequence in the film, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
I think they probably just was like, well, we've got one in here. Why do we need two? And let's pick up the pace or something. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see more of those to understand, again, he's unraveling because of this. And they don't hit on that point of what it's like to be invisible, like being lonely, like you mentioned, or the food stuff they touch on very lightly, but I think is easily solved.
That dream sequence feels like it's Chevy Chase's dream sequence because it's everybody just lauding him and praising him. And John, let's keep that in the movie. This other one can go.
Yeah, that's right. That's the dream that they kept.
I was just glad to see that this was a Cornelius production, Chevy Chase's production company, because that's his first name.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection. I always forget that that's his actual name.
This was Chevy Chase wanting to have this movie happen. This movie should be viewed as a vanity project because that's what it ultimately is. And that's how it should be received, is as a vanity project, because it totally is. Because Chevy Chase is so miscast in this, the only way this could have been made with him in it is if he's the reason it got made. That's what this feels like. That's how poor his performance in this movie is. That's how not into all of this he is. And it's wild to me that he felt the need to be involved in this, given that he cared so much about this project. But he didn't want to be involved in the parts that actually matter, like the makeup and the practical effects and the cornea lenses that they had him wear that were awful, or like we've talked about, the bluing out of his mouth, like all of that. Like, you knew. It would be like Robin Williams in Toys complaining about, what a fucking whack-ass movie this is, huh, Barry? Yeah, no, you knew what you were signing up for, man. We're not making 12 Angry Men. We're making a movie where guys invisible half the time running around. I just don't know what your expectations are, but it seems like Chevy Chase should not have been involved in this project. And if he hadn't been, I think we'd be having a much different conversation, but we wouldn't be talking about this movie either.
Well, and he says at the beginning of that HBO thing that it's been ongoing for 5 years, and I thought it was sort of just a gag, like we've been filming it for 5 years, but it was probably sort of a passion project that he had been trying to bring to screen for 5 years, or bring to production.
When the book came out, it sold for big money.
It's 80-something.
87, 5 years.
I'm sure Chevy Chase resonated with the loneliness of the character, alone in the world and feeling like walking around being invisible. But bro, you're Chevy Chase. God, you're the last person.
He's not alone for that much of the film, though. That's the thing. Like, they don't hit that hard enough.
Because that wouldn't be a funny movie then. That would be a very serious and downer of a movie. Like, it's a downer that at the end of the movie, he's invisible. That is a downer ending.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I like it, but my point is, like, that's a downer ending. That's not an upbeat ending. And the movie somehow tries to paint it as an upbeat ending. It's like at the end of Tusk, if they were like, see, Justin Long's okay with being a walrus. It's like, not really. That's actually not the point. But that movie understands what it has and does well with what it's been given. This movie's like, but we can't show the invisible baby because I think the people who are watching this movie would get freaked out by it, is what I think they said.
I love when he goes out to dinner with Daryl Hannah and he's dressed like Dr. Octopus. I thought that was kind of cool when he's got the big old goggles on and the Alfred Molina looking hair. I always wonder how they get his face back after he wipes his face with a napkin and half of it disappears.
Listen here, Cinema Sins, how dare you?
Oh, I'm sorry. No sins for this one, other than the framing device that kind of goes away for me. So
she had makeup in her bag, I think, was the explanation for that.
And they don't do much with it. If you're going to have narration in a movie, Fletch makes good use of the narration. This movie just, I don't know. I had higher hopes for this movie than I think it deserved, given how long it's been out and given how I've seen this before. But man, I went into this movie once again with really high hopes and did nothing but squander them once again.
For me, when it comes to the cinema sins, it was, I guess he must have driven himself up. No, he got driven to the beach house. And when the helicopter shows up, helicopter piloted by, or at least the pilot being played by John Carpenter, when they show up at Michael McKean's house, they're down the beach and they run and get into a truck and drive away. And I kept wondering, whose truck is that? Is that the owner of the house's truck that they just leave there as a spare? I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird. Like, how did you get away? So I don't want to be Mr. CinemaSins, but it just felt a little weird.
Do you want to be Mrs. CinemaSins, Mike?
I now take you as my CinemaSin.
15 things wrong about the wedding of the CinemaSins.
One thing you must know whenever you see a clock in a movie, it must always advance a minute whenever it is shown.
That whole thing with that other beach house was confusing to me. I'm like, he just broke into this house? I mean, I guess you can because you're invisible, but he's just breaking and entering her.
He's not a rapist like Kevin Bacon in Hollow Man. He's just a felonist, yeah.
Goes to his club. I mean, that's the kind of person he is. He has a club that he can go to and stay there. It's like, all right.
One of the last men's only club in San Francisco.
What do they do at the men's only club?
They talk about women, smoke cigars, and play poker.
Would you say that this movie was a mix between Starman and North by Northwest?
I love Starman so much more than this, though. And that's another person that could have done this was Jeff Bridges.
Speaking of another Jeff Daniels, Jeff Bridges.
Gosh, it's almost like anybody other than Chevy Chase.
Somebody who's widely considered to be a comedic actor but has some comedic range. Wow. Yeah. Weird. Just like fucking Kurt Russell. In a different universe, this could have been like The Fugitive and you could have had someone like Harrison Ford. There is Fugitive-esque aspects to this where it's a man on the run. The everyman of it all. But I don't know, like you need someone a little smug. If you're
Tim
right.
Robbins? I don't think he was. Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah,
but Tim Roth.
He was coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, this was right before Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah. Tim Robbins just flashed into my head because of, you mentioned The Fugitive, and I, for some reason, always think of Shawshank Redemption because of the way that starts.
Wrongly accused.
Yeah, wrongly accused, man.
And Tim Robbins is a little smug in Bob Roberts, and by a little, a lot.
He is in other films as well, and yet he can also do super goofy Hudsucker Proxy and very serious Jacob's Ladder. Let's recast this and get Tim Robbins in there.
One of the worst special effects in this whole movie for me. One of the worst. And it was such a simple special effect, but they fucked it up so hard, was he's got that jacket that he lets fall from the rooftop to make it seem like he's going to jump off the building, right? When I can't remember if it's Tobo or who it is that goes down and picks up that jacket. It might even be Daryl Hannah. It looks so bad because it's supposed to be half invisible, but it just looks like it's a piece of cardboard or something. And I'm like, what is that supposed to be? That looks awful.
Yeah. And then she's doing this, like, because it's stiff, so she can
wiping the tears from her eyes.
Pretend, and then she gives up on that at some point, and it's like, okay, that was, real clunky.
Let me float one more actor who could have played this role, and it would have been a little maybe too on the nose, but we never got to see them work together, which seems like a missed opportunity. Jeff Goldblum. Wouldn't that have been something?
Jeff Goldblum, I like that a lot, Chris, actually.
Speaking of people that are halfway connected to this movie, given the Sam Neill connection.
Well, for me, it would have been really cool had we kind of mixed in more of that Ralph Ellison. I almost said Harlan Ellison. Ralph Ellison, and put in Keith David. I think that would have been kind of cool to have our first black invisible man.
This is 92. We could have Denzel Washington at this point.
Nah, hard pass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just saw him in that Heart Condition movie. I think that was out right around this time where he's the ghost with Bob Hoskins.
The one with Bob Hoskins?
Yeah. I don't need invisible Denzel. Thank you.
Why not?
I'm not a big...
Because you already had Ghost Denzel?
I'm not a big Denzel
Danny
guy.
Glover?
Danny Glover I could have taken. I'm invisible.
Too old for this shit.
He was so much younger than we are now when he was saying that line.
I know. Well, younger than you and me, yeah.
Yeah, not Chris. Probably Chris's age being too old for this shit.
I was born too old for this shit, guys. That's
I know.
Bro, 9/11 happened before I was a teenager, essentially. I was born too old for this shit, man. Danny Glover. Can you imagine Danny Glover in this movie? Yeah, that would have been fun. I think Denzel is just too big of a personality. Like, he's too specific of an actor. He does have a sense of humor about himself. I just don't think he does in 1992.
Yeah, he takes himself way too seriously sometimes, and he gets so confused about stuff. I remember him still complaining about, can somebody explain to me the first Mission Impossible movie? And I was like, really? That was confusing for you?
They wear masks? I don't know. Is that the confusing part?
I guess so. Yeah, the flashback really confused him.
Anything else we want to talk about with Memoirs of an Invisible Man?
I didn't dislike this movie as much as I thought it would be. I just wish it was better.
I enjoyed watching it. That may be the last time I say this. I don't know.
No, you're going to be a huge Man of the House fan. I can tell you that.
Okay. Yeah, probably.
Everybody loves it.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I can't wait.
Be still my heart. Yes.
Remember when he was Tim Allen's son in Home Improvement?
I sure do. I think Tim Allen would be kicking him out of the house right now or putting him into gay conversion camps.
Oh?
Yeah, fucking Tim Allen noise. Oh my God. Get that. That man has Tim Allen's never seen a hammer he didn't love.
I messed that up completely.
I like your noise better, like a dog.
I can't do that or the Dan Aykroyd voice.
He's channeling his inner Dan Aykroyd. Speaking of that, on the next episode of the Chasing Chevy Chase podcast, we're going to be taking a look at 1994's Cops and Robertsons, a film starring who else but Chevy Chase and Jack Palance, because that was a combination that was thrown into a blender.
Oh, I'm sure they loved each other. Or who knows? Maybe they got along like gangbusters.
So until that episode, which will be the next one, where can people find you and the things that you work on, Mike White?
Everything that I do, including this podcast, is over at weirdingwaymedia.com. Everything is over there, except for the one thing that Chris and I do, which we're about to record a new episode for, which is Rankin' on Bond. It is our monthly look at the films of James Bond, starring Chevy Chase. Now that would be something. weirdingwaymedia.com is where it's all at these days, except for that one thing. Get that through our Patreons, patreon.com/culturecast and patreon.com/projectionbooth. And yeah, that's all the news that's fit to print. How about you, Mark Begley?
You can find my two shows, Wake Up Heavy and Cambridge and Sean. Guess where? On the Weirding Way Network. weirdingwaymedia.com. Were you going to guess something else, Mike?
No, I wasn't, but
Same.
my mind's kind of blown.
Thoroughly blown.
How about you, Chris Stashew?
You can find everything that I work on at weirdingwaymedia.com as well, which is, the repository for all of my collected works and pretty much everybody that we work with for the most part. Other than that, damn Richard Haddam. He's the only one, but that's okay because Mike said Rankin' on Bond is a project that the three of us have a lot of love and affection for, and that is a Patreon exclusive, and that's the thing you should be checking out. If you're not, go ahead and hop on over there and do that. As for this show, like, rate, and review it wherever you get it, hopefully on iTunes. And come on back for the home stretch of this show because we are now officially in the home stretch. We only have 4 more episodes left. So
Thank
Cops
God.
and Robertsons coming at you live. Not live, recorded.
You know who we didn't mention, who could have been a replacement, my last thought on this, is Ed Begley Jr., because he did such an amazing job in the Amazon Women on the Moon version of The Invisible Man. How about a whole fucking movie of that? That would have been amazing.
Just an inch away from your face, I am staring into your eyes. You would be surprised if you could see what's an inch from your face, but it's impossible. I am invisible. Tiptoeing and holding my breath, almost knocking over a lamp, barely able to contain a sneeze. I am invisible. I am invisible. I am invisible. Did you notice noticed something? Was there somebody there? No, apparently not. There you felt it again, something creeping around that you can't see. Doing jumping jacks in the bank, dancing through the supermarket, spinning in the courtroom on one leg. I am invisible, I am invisible, I am invisible. There are details that I haven't worked out, like when I eat my lunch, does it disappear, or do you see it going all the way down? Did the cat just learn how to fly? No, I'm only holding him up. Did the cat turn on the dishwasher? No, I'm holding his paw, pushing down on the switch, making it look like he's doing it by himself. 'Cause I'm invisible, I am invisible.